Hello, you're watching Studio Ken. Make sure you don't miss any episode of Studio Ken by subscribing to the YouTube channel. To subscribe, search for Studio Ken on YouTube, click subscribe on the bottom right of your TV screen, and set a reminder. You can also watch Studio Ken on Diamond TV on Wednesday at 18:30 and on Saturday at 19 hours. Studio Ken, the home of Kennedy Gondwe on YouTube.
My guest on Studio Ken today, to borrow a biblical aphorism, is a man whose shoes I'm not worthy to untie. Edem Djokotoe is originally from Ghana, but has called Zambia home for more than 2 decades. He's a journalist, writer, and media trainer. Someone I'm proud to call a mentor. Edem, welcome to the interview.
Thank you.
So Edem, we'll talk about what you make of Zambia and Zambians, but that's not the principal reason that we're here. The reason we are here is to talk about something that is deeply personal, something that you want to share with the world, and something that you wouldn't even want to wish on anybody. You've got colon cancer. When did you know that you got colon cancer?
I think it was October 2017. By this time, I had gone through 8 months of mistreatment and misdiagnosis. I was actually being treated for a chronic stomach infection that wasn't going away. Actually, the pain was intensifying with every passing day. And some nights it would be virtually impossible to sleep. I started to put myself on very, very strong painkillers because what I was being given at the hospital wasn't really helping, basically paracetamol.
So when did you finally make the call to go for a cancer test?
I didn't actually go for a cancer test. I actually wanted the doctor to tell me what was wrong with me that had taken 8 months. Because I may be a layman, but I don't think a stomach infection can take 8 months. I knew there was something wrong, but I just didn't think in my wildest dreams that it would be cancer. So one Sunday when we went to Coptic Hospital, the doctor insisted that they needed to have a colonoscopy. Until that time, I'd never had one. I'd had ultrasound, I had blood tests, I had all kinds of tests, but never a colonoscopy. So when they went inside and they took a biopsy, they found that actually it was stage 2 colon cancer.
How did they break the news to you?
As plainly as I'm breaking it to you now, you have stage 2 colon cancer.
And what did you make of that news immediately?
It was a kick in the gut because as far as I know, cancer is a death sentence. That's how it's reported, that's how people take it, and that's what we've all grown up understanding. I can't say I knew of anyone who had had cancer and had survived it or had lived to tell the tale. So there and then, you know, my whole life flashed ahead of me and I just felt this numbness, you see. And it's important that, like with people who are living with HIV and AIDS, where breaking of bad news is preceded with counseling. But in my experience, there was no counseling. I was just told, this is what you have. And you need to have surgery like yesterday. Let's find out.
Stage 2 is quite an advanced stage.
Not too advanced, but it's bad enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bad enough to kill somebody?
Maybe not, because you didn't have had organ failure then. So at that stage, you are treatable. At least that's what I was able to figure out. If it gets to stage 4, then you are screwed. So I was told, this is the stage and this is what we need to do. We need to operate. Wait, we'll find out how much it costs. So quickly, they go around, come back and give me a figure. And they tell me that it's going to cost 34,000 kwacha. And actually, it's not going to be one surgery, but 2 surgeries back to back, or probably at the same time. And after that, I'll be kept in hospital for a week, and then I'll be discharged, and then I needed to make my own arrangement to have chemotherapy at Cancer Diseases Hospital. Now, I may be a lay person, but you cannot subject a man born of woman to 2 very serious operations, keep them in hospital for a week, and then discharge them. Something didn't just add up. So we thanked the doctor for his time, and he wanted to know how soon we'll be patient. We said, we'll get back to you. You know, but when we got back, we got to the car park. I mean, I literally broke down because what had just happened in there was very traumatic and it was very sudden. What am I going to tell my children? when I get home, because they know we are going to see the doctor and we are going to get a proper prognosis of my condition. Now, this is what I've been told, and this is how it has affected me. I was crying, my wife was crying. We get home, the kids will see that this is serious. How are they going to react? So we sat down in a coffee shop, had a cup of coffee, calmed down, talked about it, and waited for the eyes to clear, and then we went home and broke it to the children that, oh, actually, I need to have surgery. But we will see about raising the money. We didn't broach the issue of cancer to anyone. You know.
Did you have the money at that point? Because you
no,
needed
we
to
didn't
pay
have. 34,000 kwacha is a lot of money. We didn't have. But it wasn't so much the money, because if I needed to find the 34,000 then, I could have at least started. But something about how I'd been told what I had told just didn't add up. So we felt we needed a second opinion. And we looked to Google for the second opinion. Eventually we picked one and went to India. But at
that time, had you broken the news to the children?
No, we hadn't. But as we raised the money, I think 4 or 5 months, raising money diligently and urgently, you know, because when you send the results to India, they tell you that, well, based on what you have sent them, this is what they think the prognosis is. But they'll be happy doing their own tests, and they would want you to be there for a certain number of days and so on. So they give you a rough quote based on what you have sent them. You see, so now we had to think airfares, we had to think of a certain number of days, and we had to think about any eventualities that might arise when we got there. But since I'd been told that I was going to have surgery, I prepared my mind that even when we go to India, I'm going to have surgery.
Why did you have to go to India and not do it here or South Africa?
My sister-in-law was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 2011. And even though she was head of microbiology and parasitology at Ridgeway campus, someone from within UTH says, you know what, madam, you need to go to South Africa, because here we are not sure what's going on. So she had to take her own money and go to South Africa to be checked out. And that's where they were able to establish that she had pancreatic cancer. So you see, with experiences like this very close in the family, and our own niece having been admitted, and there was a whole lot of trial and error. First it was cervical cancer, then it was, firstly it was an ectopic pregnancy, then it was cervical cancer. They ruled it out after 2 months, and then they said, oh, finally it's cancer of the bladder, but it's too far gone. We can't do anything. We just wait for you to die. So with things like that, you really need to look elsewhere. And that's what caused us to go to India.
So how did you finally communicate the news to the children?
In the end, there's no other way. Because now we had to tell them that, you see what, we are making a lot of sacrifices. We are cutting back because we are trying to raise money to go for treatment. This is what my condition is. I think they are old enough to know that I was going through extreme pain. Or sometimes I would wake up around 2, 3, and I would just be groaning, you know, and I wouldn't sleep till morning. I would just sit up, you know.
And what was their reaction the moment they heard that you had colon cancer?
Everybody was taken aback by the news, you know, because we've had cancer in the family. My mother-in-law died of cancer. My sister-in-law died of cancer. A niece died of cancer. A very close niece in Ghana too died of cancer. So it's been very close. So when you know up close how this affects people, you don't have to put it in words. You know, people's minds switch to what they have come to experience about what cancer really is.
And friends, when you told them?
Oof. The first friend I told was a colleague from the Jazz Appreciation Society, Cat Francis, you know, Francis Mohali Makwele. We were playing music at one night, one Thursday. I was playing jazz music at Sky Bar Lounge, which belongs to Rico. And I was in so much pain. I had received the prognosis, And I kept it to myself all this time. But that night, I think he saw that I was in myself. So he says, Edem, you don't look okay. Are you okay? I said, you know what? I'm not okay. Actually, he says that. Then we can go home. I said, look, it's not just now. It's something braver than that. I've actually been diagnosed with stage 2 colon cancer. And his face just changed. You know, he was the first. So that's how many others took it. Other friends like Jay in New York.
Jay Mwamba.
Yeah, Jay Mwamba. He took it very bad. Many of the people I told took it very bad. Some basically just broke down and cried right in front of me.
And what would you make of all that? Did you think death was knocking? Because if you tell someone and they're going to cry because of the condition that you've just communicated to them, that must affect you as well.
Yeah. Well, at that point, that was the last of the least of my worries. I needed to know what could be done. If I was told that I needed to have immediate surgery, then I'm preparing my mind that I'm going for surgery, and that after surgery, I'll know what the next stage is. So we get to India. We arrive at the airport. The hospital had sent a vehicle. They picked us up straight to the hospital, and they were prepared to start their test right there. But we'd been traveling for over 13 hours, and I needed to rest. So they rescheduled my appointment, went to the hospital the next day, and they told me that before they can start anything, they need to do their own tests. So they subjected me to a battery of tests. For 3 whole days, I was doing nothing but tests, you know. And at the end of they called me, and I had a panel of 3 doctors, you know, who were responsible for my case, you know, 3 experts. So when they finally called me based on the results that had come out, they said, well, we have gotten the results, and we are ready to proceed with treatment. So I said, fine, but when do I go for surgery? And they exchanged glances, and they said, why do you want to have surgery now? I said, well, because that's what I was told before I got here. And
by the Zambian doctor?
Yes, I prepared my mind for it. So when am I going to have surgery? So I was told that, look, from the results of the tests, we've established that you have stage 2 colon cancer, but the tumor that you have has fragmented and spread so much that if we opened you up to operate, the surgery will be so complicated that you probably would not make it.
Making it as in you will die?
Yes, I'll die. And that was hard. And they saw me just change. They said, look, calm down. We are not saying anything serious. What we are telling you is that we are not going to operate now. But you need to calm down and listen to what we are going to tell you, because we are putting a treatment plan in front of you. The nature of the tumor is such that it's fragmented, but we can treat it, and we can treat it by shrinking it. So, as at now, we are telling you that prepare yourself for 5 weeks of chemotherapy and 25 sessions of radiation or radiotherapy. That is combined, we'll combine that to shrink the tumor. And after that, you will go back to Zambia, you stay 6 weeks, and then you come back. The reason we want you to stay 6 weeks is chemo and radiation harms your immunity, you know, and we need you to regain your immunity and your strength. When you come back after 6 weeks, we'll review your condition, and if surgery is the next course of action, that's what we are going to do.
Hi, this is Enoch Mepo. You're watching Studio Ken. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube.
So you were in India for that long, and
6
then you had
weeks.
to come back here?
Yes.
And the finances, were they on your side?
Well, we had cleaned up much of the savings. We had, I sold my other car to raise money, and took whatever other money we could mobilize to go. Because that kind of treatment isn't cheap. They'll give you a quote based on what they have seen of the report that you send them. But when you get there, they do their own tests and they make decisions. A lot of those decisions that they're going to make will have financial implications. So when they told me that I needed to have radiation, 25 sessions, they immediately calculate how much it's going to cost, and they hit you with the figure right there, $5,200 US.
Did you have that figure?
Well, yes, we had that money then. Because I was prepared for surgery, and we thought surgery could cost that, that much. So we had that money. And then chemo was going to cost almost $2,000. So already you are looking at $7,200. Accommodation, you are spending close to $30 a night for a room in a medical guest house. Every test that you have has a cost. There's food and there are other incidentals. So that's what we had to cope with. That.
What has your experience taught you? Because not everyone could be in a position like you to afford that kind of money. And yet these medical facilities, medicines are not readily available in Africa, a country like Zambia in particular.
Cancer is a public health challenge that African countries need to take very seriously. If you look at the stats, they are very high. On any given day, you have more than 100 cancer patients at CDH. And many are coming from out of town, Luwingu, Nabualia, name it. They are all being referred here. And there are records to show that some districts are have a more of a higher incidence than others. Luangwa, for instance, Katete, Kitwe, Mongu, Monze. You don't understand what kind of incidences, but this is real. And given the numbers, and given that's a public health challenge, central governments have to invest in finding ways of treating patients. Because cancer treatment isn't cheap.
How's life been like from 2017 to this day?
It's been hard. Mentally, you have to reassess your priorities in life. Because anything can happen. Your condition might change anytime. So you take life one day at a time.
Do you fear death?
No. Everyone. None of us is going to make out of this world alive. You see?
But when you are hit with news like that, and the mindset that you're talking about, you might be thinking, look, here I am now about to die. I've got a family that I'll leave behind.
But I'm not waiting on death. I'm not waiting on death. I'm living. When I wake up and I feel strong, it's a blessing. I go to gym, I lift weights, I box, get involved in my martial arts, I power walk. 18 Ks, 20 Ks, I come back. When I can't cope, I can't cope. But I run with what each day throws at me. I'm not rolling, I'm not lying down and dying and waiting for death. No, I still have life ahead of me.
And how do you manage the expense aspect of your condition?
Well, as a family, it's hit us very hard because you don't expect this. Even when you are saving and you are working and putting money aside, you are not putting money aside waiting for a chronic illness, something, illness that is going to cost that much. You save up for something other than that. You want to buy land, you want to build this, you want to do that. You are not thinking about spending that money on your own health. But that is how life is. It comes. But I have been very fortunate to have had God smiling favorably on me and God being in my corner. Because without him, I don't know how I would have been where I would be now. I've been to India 5 times in 2 years. That's a lot of times. I should actually have been going again this year, but with lockdown, we basically stuck.
Could you talk about lockdown? Stuck, like you are saying.
Okay.
But meanwhile, you've got a condition that needs attention.
Okay. Because of the cost, sometimes you have to look around locally to see. There are cancer experts, the oncologists here. How can they help me going forward based on their expertise? And given the fact that I don't have a bottomless pit of money to pay for this. So I go and consult oncologists and they check me out and they say, well, right now this is what we have found. But for us to be very certain about the next course of treatment, you need to do a PET-CT scan. Now, a PET-CT scan relies on nuclear imaging to give you very high resolution 3D imaging of the body. If there's a cancer anywhere or there's any disease cell anywhere, the PET-CT scan is going to identify it 200%, maybe even higher. It's that accurate, but it doesn't exist here. The closest, yes.
You don't have it in Zambia?
No, it's not here.
Why do you think so?
Well, maybe people don't think it's a priority.
How much does it cost?
A PET CT scanner will range from 500,000 US dollars to 750,000 US dollars. And when I shared this on my wall, people think it's a CT scanner. No, there's a big difference. A CT scanner is basically like a very advanced form of X-ray, which will give you pictures of your body on computer and so on. PET CT scanner is a lot more advanced and is using a totally different kind of technology. They're going to use radioactive agents in your body in order to be able to get very accurate readings, and it doesn't exist.
So here you are supposed to be undergoing that scan. Yeah. There's a lockdown, and we know your condition needs attention. Yeah. So much happening at the same time without you making progress.
Yeah. You can't move on because doctors need the test result to proceed with your treatment. South Africa is on lockdown. India is on lockdown. I've done that test twice in India, lockdown. In India, the first time it was $500 in 2018 to check where I was. Last October, I did it for $550. In South Africa, if I did the same test, if they were not on lockdown, it would cost me $1,500. That already tells you that the added costs could push things way beyond reach. You know, I was told, well, you could try Thailand. Thailand, it's even more expensive. It's like $2,325 for a test that will take you at most an hour and a half, 2 hours.
So given the picture that you paint to me and the scan that you're supposed to be undergoing, of course, there doesn't seem to be any solution as of now. What goes on in your mind?
Nothing. Like I said, I take each day as it comes. You know, when you stress about things that you can't change, the body triggers all these harmful enzymes that make recovery very difficult. So I'm not going to stress about things that, the whole world is on lockdown. There's nothing anyone can do. You may be the richest person on earth, you may be the most powerful person on earth. Lockdown has affected us in very real ways. There's nothing we can do about it.
You don't want to stress. You and I sometimes meet at the gym. Yeah. I see you throwing punches in a punching bag. Does that explain the anger? Do you sometimes take out the anger or the frustration on an innocent punching bag?
No, actually, it's not the cancer I'm kicking. It's some enemy. He knows himself. I'm just joking.
No, I know. Now, let's talk about, a lot of people know you from your being a lecturer, your media works. You were a columnist in the Post. When you look back from the time that you came to Zambia and now, how has the media industry evolved and changed in Zambia?
I think that the more plurality we've seen, the worse the standards have become. Once upon a time, the newspapers were basically state-owned and government-controlled. Times of Zambia, Daily Mail. But Times of Zambia still had a reputation then for some level of objectivity. And some of the best journalists I got to know here worked for the Times. Arthur Simuchoba, for one, brilliant writer, Patu Simoko for another. There were people at the Times who were very serious about what they did. Editor, I remember, Nothing Alogwe, he would stand by his reporters. I remember there was one particular case where a reporter of his, I forget the name, names have gone through the cracks of memory. But he stood behind his editor. He's the one who was in the dock. His reporter was a witness, you see. And editors were prepared to stand with reporters then. They offered some level of guidance. It got to a point where an editor will openly tell reporters that if you get into trouble with the establishment, you're on your own. Now, how does that work? How does that work? The buck should stop with you. Why are you passing it on down to a reporter? So with this sort of situation, a lot of things change. Not only that, in the years that I've been, I've noticed that the focus on what is important, what should be in the public interest, is where the attention is at its least. And I say this all the time. I mean, if you ask anyone outside Zambia what Zambia is known for, they'll either say football or copper. Look at any media organization. Look at any media content. Not a single media organization covers mining religiously. And meanwhile, this is where Zambia gets more than 70% of its revenue from. So if you are not interested in the source of the money, what will you be interested in? You'll not be interested in food as a running story. You'll not be interested in health. You'll not be interested in education. You'll not be interested in land. You'll not be interested in energy. Nothing of substance. Meanwhile, you are putting all the attention to covering politics. That, for me, has been one of the biggest.
At the time that a lot of people knew you, you were running 2 columns in the defunct Post newspaper. You had So to So and Mind Over Matter.
Yeah.
Do you miss writing?
Oh yeah. You know, I did both for almost 18 years. They became such a part of me, you know, that I was always thinking in column mode because the deadlines were ever present. I needed to fill up space, half a page, 3/4 of a page, 2 different columns, 2 different characteristics every week. That takes doing. But I enjoyed the challenge it posed because I could practically write about anything. So I was always looking out for new things because I knew that readers, the columns had developed quite a following that I could not afford to let my readers down. So it motivated me in a while, and I did it for that long.
What do you think is a missing link between your generation of journalists and the current generation of journalists?
I think vocation. If you ask me now, I mean, I'm 60. If you ask me now, if I had to turn the clock back, what would I do? I would say I would do the same thing because this is all I've wanted to do. And journalism has been good to me. You see, it's one profession I know where you have a huge impact on what people think. Tomorrow's newspaper depends on you. The next news bulletin depends on you. I mean, everything is blank. What you decide is important is what becomes important for the public. You see, so if you think a political rally is important, that's what the public is going to read. But if you think that the lack of vital medical equipment that can make diagnosis accurate and save lives is what is important, then you will not understand why you are in this business. So I think what is missing is a sense of vocation and what public interest really means in the scheme of things.
And what do you think can be done to change that mindset?
I think journalists have to renegotiate their relationship with their public because they've lost it. They have lost it.
What has been your experience of living in Zambia? Because up to now, you haven't changed your citizenship.
No, I haven't.
What has been your experience?
Well, I'm a Ghanaian who calls this home. I'm a resident. You see, I have a very strong feeling about nationality. You see, it's like a birthright. You can't see it, but it's there. And I don't think I can trade my birthright for a bowl of soup. I can't. You see, so let it be with me, let it live with me. You see, and people here know me as a Ghanaian who lives here. I think that's okay. Now, if they want to know why do I stay here or why have I chosen to stay, I mean, I could have relocated. Actually, in 1981, the plans to relocate back to London were very strong. I had relatives there. I still have relatives there. But I think the things that have made Black Lives Matter relevant now are the things that convinced me that my life and my happiness didn't lie in living in the white man's country, no.
What is it that you like and hate about Zambians?
I mean, it's laid back. Zambians are very hospitable and Zambians are very peaceful, you know. And people have asked me over the years that, what is it about this place that has kept you? I said, the peace. You see, it is a story that Zambians themselves have not told. It is something Zambians have not marketed. The fact that there is something, maybe it's in the water you drink, that has created you to be the kind of people that you are, you know. I know that every country has its own pressure points, its own challenges. But I feel at home here. I feel comfortable here. I feel that even the time that I came, I mean, my mother came first. She left, or we left Ghana after one bloody coup too many. We lived through all the coups, and they got bloodier by the year, you see. And from the things that I saw to there and the things that I saw here, there was a huge difference. You know, I mean, I saw people get shot. I saw people get flogged publicly by soldiers. I had neighbors, people we knew who were in the army, get arrested. It was crazy. Yeah.
You said you can't trade your nationality for a bowl of soup. One day you would die. Where would you rather be buried, here or Ghana?
This is my home. And my late mother is buried here. And to leave her behind and get buried elsewhere, I think it will break that cosmic bond that mother and child have. So.
But the one fact that is there between Zambians and Ghanaians is the way the funerals are conducted. In Ghana, funerals are such a big thing. They can go on for 6 months. But here it's 3 days you are buried. Yeah. So how do you reconcile that?
We are going to have to find a compromise. Yeah. We are ancestral. So we believe that if you send someone off well and grandly, when you call on them when they're in the spirit world, they will smile favorably on you. They're not going to see that you treated them like a broke-ass Negro when they lived. No. They're going to see that you gave them a proper send-off.
Edem, thank you very much for hosting us.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming through.
Hi, this is Edem Djokotoe. You're watching Studio Ken. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube.